Hello everybody, my name's James. Welcome to the Planet FPL Double Game Week 25 Deadline stream. And it's live. As always, the Deadline stream is brought to you in partnership with FPL Team. And we can tell you that the FPL Team projections are updated to now include Newcastle Ipswich moving from Game Week 36 projection to Game Week 33. Why? Because this afternoon it's been announced that Newcastle versus Crystal Palace will be played in what will now be a double Game Week 32. That means potentially back-to-back double game weeks for both Newcastle and Crystal Palace across Game Weeks 32 and 33. Before I get into your questions, and I will try and answer as many of your dilemmas as possible ahead of the 6:30 p.m. UK time Game Week 25 deadline, please allow me to take you through the graphics because many of your questions may well be answered. Right, top right corner of the screen, I've made a transfer, I've done it. I couldn't be doing it during the stream. I've had about 20 minutes this afternoon to make a decision. And I've gone with the words that lingered in my head this morning from our differential show on Patreon. That if Jean-Philippe Mateta was playing in Game Week 29, he is the player I would be buying in place of Nicholas Jackson. The Palace 32 announcement has given me a little bit of a push. I now intend to go through Game Week 29 with less than 11 players. I'm lining up this week with Pickford, Castagne, Alexander-Arnold, Gabriel, Captain Salah, Palmer, Vice-Captain Morgan Rogers, Anthony Gordon, Jean-Philippe Mateta, boom, boom, boom. There ain't no striker better, except for Alexander Isak. Cody Gakpo on the bench in reserve, and I may need this cover. Diallo, Colwill, and Hall. Bottom right hand corner of the screen, you'll see my predicted lineups for all 20 teams this game week. To the left of me, you'll see a rotation of my top 10 captaincy preference picks. Salah is top. I'd be very honest, if you did want to take him on this week, I'd now go Watkins or Rodgers. And you'd also see my correct score predictions for 11 games in Game Week 25. Right at the bottom of the screen, you'll see the ticker with all the flag players and next 5 fixtures for all 20 teams. And above that and below me, that's this bit here, kids. The benching dilemmas, probably the biggest names that have ever appeared on this list. Some of you may want to bench boost this week. And I'm going to repeat this now so I can tell people to go back and listen to it. I would start in this order. Isak over Palmer, over Wood, over Bumo, over Jimenez, over Cliver, over Foden, over Tell, over João Pedro, over Gordon, over Nwaneri, over Diallo, over Gabriel, over Kirkes, over Munoz, over Robinson, over Vardiol. They run in order, pages 1 to 4, left to right. The player with a tick is the preferred option to start. Page 5, as I'm showing you now, has goalkeepers. Preferences: Henderson over Pickford, over Sells, over Verbruggen, over Flecken. I can foresee 9,900, not that many because I won't get through that many. Benching dilemma questions, and I bet you a lot of them are going to be answered in that screen there. Please take note of it. If you're submitting questions, guys, it is really useful now at this stage to let me know, particularly with Game Week 29 in mind, if you're intending to free hit in that week or if you're intending to run through that week, because at this stage that can alternate or have a big difference to the answer that I give, right? So if I've got that context, that's quite important. If you can do that, that's amazing. If you want to list other weeks, that's great as well. Sorry, that is food in my mouth because I just ate a bit of my child's dinner because that's as close as I've been to food today. Right, let's go through the questions. Repeat / similar questions may well be skipped. Best of luck, everyone. Remember to play it your own way. CMP says, apologies if you covered already, but do you prefer playing assistant manager now and bench boost 33 or holding assistant manager for 31 to 33 and playing bench boost in a single? Depends on your team. Hang on a second. Sorry, I got to send a message. Yeah, love you, darling. Happy Valentine's Day too. That's for Nico. That's my video editor and content creator on social media platforms. I'd tell you what I prefer at the moment, truthfully. If those are on assistant managers, great. If people have a real preference to go through Unai Emery now, I'm not going to particularly talk them out of it. But you could still wait and you could do assistant manager 30 to 32 and bench boost 33. That's a possibility. And that might be worth considering if you're in doubt at the moment, that's a full an option where you could still use the assistant manager 32 and a bench boost in 33 possibly. That's something worth considering. It may even be, I had such a quick look through it, but some of you may want a bench boost in 32. Assistant manager 33 to 35 might be quite awkward, but I'll tell you what, Oliver Glasner might even show up great there as well, possibly. So there's a few different options. My preference is to hold at the moment, but I realise people are in different situations. For me, it's kind of locked in now that I'm going to play assistant manager over that period across 32, 33, because my bench boost was used in game week 1, so that's a near certainty for me now. It also means that I might be shorter of transfers, right? Because if Newcastle Palace double in 32, but neither of them double in 33, I need at least one free transfer, don't I? To go to someone else with a double. Right, Getty says, Iwobi to Rodgers for a -4. 1,000 no hits all season, but is it worth it now? Have to bench Timber if so. The only thing I'd say with Rodgers, and I've been kind of consistent on this for weeks, is that I think after this week, he does potentially become expendable for people. So many other options. You got the Bournemouth lads, and Nwaneri obviously putting his hand up now. There's plenty of others as well. Someone like Eze is going to come back into people's thinking in forthcoming weeks. Do Ismail Assar owners hold? No, they probably still sell. But there's loads of options in and around that price, right? I wouldn't be stuck to holding him. That said, someone like me who bought him at 5 million is thinking, will I find better? He might end up being a great first sub for me, and I sacrifice Diallo in future weeks, right? But then Diallo is more useful for me in game week 29 than Rodgers, right? Rodgers is useless to me in game week 29, and the fixtures do stiffen up. But take this as an example, right? Like I just said, Aston Villa have Southampton away in game week 32, right? With this double now, you might be looking at benching someone like Rodgers away to Southampton. Honestly, bench boost might even land there for people. So I've not had time to look through things properly today, and it's going to be circumstantial depending on people's teams. Would I take a -4 to buy Morgan Rodgers now? I guess, again, 29 is an influence, right? So if you were free hitting in 29, I'm going to say, like, yeah, crack on. If you're not, you're losing a player from game week 29. But Iwobi is a definite sell come game week 30. That's a near certainty. So can you afford the additional transfers? How many transfers have you got? If you've got 5 free transfers, I'm like, yeah, crack on. But then you're saying -4, so you obviously don't have the free transfers. Chatting rubbish. -4. I think no. Free transfer, yeah. -4, I think no. Sam Jones says, considering injury news, would you start Gakpo and hope he plays Villa, or start Gordon? I would still go with Gakpo and hope that he plays. I think it was always a strong possibility. I've not kind of been spooked too much by today's news. 1, I saw how he come off on Wednesday and knew that was probably going to be a problem. 2, I didn't think he'd start both games in this game week anyway, having started the 2 in the last game week. So if he was back available for Wednesday, yeah, cool. I mean, is Gakpo at Villa better than Gordon at City? Probably. So yeah, Gakpo still. There's a strong possibility he doesn't play, clearly. He hasn't trained today. Remember, Liverpool don't play till Sunday, right? So if he trains tomorrow, who knows? Solomon Campbell says, thoughts on the discourse around MLS, particularly the convo on the overlap. Oh, not MLS as in the league. You mean Miles Lewis-Skelly, about his celebration. Is it a colour thing? It seems to be racial undertones. Why one rule for Maupay and another for Lewis-Skelly? I don't think so, in all honesty. I just think quite often Sky are looking for the headlines now, right? So, no, I don't think there's a racial thing in that. I certainly hope there's not an undertone of that. I must say I didn't pick up on it personally. I also don't have a huge problem with what he did, right? He celebrated, he took the piss. He got told by Haaland, who are you, right? And then he scores a goal and does his celebration. Even as someone who hates Arsenal, I kind of think that's fair game, right? Would I do it myself? Probably not, because it will just bite back again. But do I blame him? No. Spooky Sorcerer, hi James. Which one to do? Mikalenko to Howson now and Rodgers to Clivert next week, or Ndiaye to Visser now and Rodgers to Dango or Semenyo next week? The second option would mean playing Mikalenko or Castagne and benching João Pedro. Again, like, your strategy is quite relevant here, because I think, like, if you're free hitting in 29, you've got no real use for Mikalenko, but if you're playing in 29, it'll still be useful for you. So I'm inclined to say option B, but strategy is important here, mate. Mad Shook says Ahmad Eze to Bournemouth midfielder to fund Emery, or Jackson to Cunha and bench him for next week. Good luck, James. Cunha was a strong consideration for me. This morning I thought that was probably going to... I'd say this morning, probably last night, that's the player I thought I was going to buy, because I just thought, well, I might be ahead of the crowd here with Cunha. But again, reflecting on my words, what I said about Mateta and being like, if he was playing in 29, I'd definitely be going Mateta at the moment. Buying Cunha for Liverpool away don't feel right, does it? Jackson, I guess, will probably lose value tonight. I don't know how relevant that is to you, but therefore I'd be moving it on, because this isn't really, probably clear, this isn't a great time to be making early transfers. It's a double game week. The game week ends on Wednesday. Don't really want to be going early and feeling forced into that. So if Cunha's the guy that you want in the longer term, I would just get it done, mate. In terms of Ahmad or Eze to a Bournemouth midfielder, yeah, sure. Again, watch 29 to you here. So Diallo is possibly useful to you in 29. Eze does have good fixtures now. Not sure at this moment I'd cut Eze. I'm pretty confident it'll probably start tomorrow. Not sure I'd cut either of them at this moment in time. Where someone like Gordon walking into the tougher fixtures kind of feels more appropriate, doesn't it? I don't mind it, and I get the appeal of Bournemouth. Clearly, this is the right time to go and buy. I'm going to have to overlook it at this moment. It would have been a hit, obviously, to do it now. I've decided against that. I probably would keep those two players. Maybe. Diallo to Bournemouth player. On the face of it, better, but again, like, how many transfers you got? If you got 5 free transfers, I'm like, cool, yeah, just go Diallo to a Bournemouth player. If you got one, I don't know, man. Sorting your problem out for 29 might be more important. Zara Kennedy says, hi, James. Would you go Gakpo to Watkins for a -4 or stick with Bumo as first sub? Christ on a stick. Bumo first sub. I don't... Do you know what? I've had so little time today. How much money have I left in the bank? I'm not even sure if I could have gone Gakpo to Watkins. No, I couldn't have. But had I been able to, I mean, the fact that I wasn't even sure there probably tells you that I probably wouldn't have, so I'm going to say no. Jacob Frost says, do I steal Arsman this week and bench boost 33? Or do I bench boost now with Valdimarson, Hall, Robinson, Wood from -4, Greaves to Disai? I don't like that bench boost option here for now, mate. Again, is Arsman 30 to 32? Is that something that could be a possibility for you? I think it could be. I get that you're going to want to use it over 32, 33, but is it better? Do you have to force the bench boost now, right? Maybe bench boost might land nice for you in, say, game week 30, for example, or something, once you come out the blank. There's some really strong home fixtures there. Almost whatever you land out of 29, I don't think is too terrible for 30, unless you cock it up. So that's maybe an option. Is using it later an option? Game week 30 would probably feel quite good. It is a midweek set of fixtures, but you're going to have at least 12 teams won't play on the weekend before, unless they do something wild with Liverpool, Everton, Chelsea, Tottenham, which I'm not expecting them to do. But we've been getting some wild shit at the moment. Thanks, Cap. Thanks, Cap. Okay. What's the bloody question? No, I wouldn't. If you still want to go Arsman now, I'm okay with it. Certainly, anyone who's already committed to it, crack on. I mean, you can't change it anyway once you've done it. So, AC7 says, hi, James. On assistant manager, I need to sell Gordon to a Bournemouth mid to Moyes. Moyes to Emery, sorry. Who is preference? And this then creates benching dilemma with Wood, or sell Colwell for anyone below 4.2. Colwell again, like how useful is that game with 27-28 and then the fixtures immediately after the blank? Again, that's dependent on who the other players are in your team. Colwell's probably going to be useful for me 27-28. Not so much on the other side, but actually might end up being really useful for me in game week 34. That's a possibility because some of us haven't really got any chips left, right? Colwell to a 4.2. I mean, Anderson probably, but yeah, Fulham's fixtures up to the blank good, bad afterwards. Again, how much do you need that? Would I bother? Probably not. The Bournemouth middle preference for me would be Cliver at this moment, would have been the one that I would have been most likely to buy personally. That said, I would play Wood over him, as per the benching dilemmas. For those looking for Semenyo or Utara, literally just replace for Cliver on the benching dilemmas and, you know, fag paper between them, basically. Charlie Zara says, hi, mate. Bruno and Pedro to Dango and Watkins -4 means I have to bench Gordon and likely lock me into free hit 29. Alternate is Gordon to Cliver and roll, not locking in free hit 29. I'd prefer you not to be locked in, but I definitely think those with real strong Palace coverage is probably beginning to make sense to free hit 29. Yeah, it really is. I think what most people should do, to repeat what I've been saying this week, I think ideally most people should aim to run through it. I think in the exception that you've got really strong Palace coverage, like you've got treble Newcastle, treble Liverpool, Cutler Villa, and you've got Munoz and Mateta, it's like, sod that, free hit 29. If you're like me with 3 Liverpool, 3 Newcastle, Rodgers, right, there's transfers there to move that out, right? So I've got 7. I think that's okay to run through. More than that, you're going to be looking at free hitting is probably going to be better for you, I think. But I wouldn't lock into that under your circumstance there. So I think, Charlie, the best thing to do, as I've been saying this week, aim to run through 29. Your definitive decision should come before game week 28. Before game week 28, you want to make a decision probably between now and then. Use as little transfers as you can. And also, obviously, the difference with this season and other seasons, you don't lose the transfers, right? So if you get to 28, you're like, I've got 5 free transfers, but shit, I still want a free hit. That's okay. You're going to carry a lot of them free transfers, obviously, on through the other side, through 30, and then the build to the doubles, and then the next blank of 34. Prashan Hajani says, hi James, happy Valentine's Day, and to all our viewers. Thinking of taking a -4. Gordon and the Brighton goalkeeper to Cliver and Kepa, thoughts? Don't like it. Gordon to Cliver, fine as a free transfer. Regular viewers in here will know, do not take a -4 for a goalkeeper if you've got one playing for another. What, Verbruggen can't outscore Kepa this week? That's not worth the hit, is it? You don't need to do that for any reason to make the Gordon to Clivert transfer. So if you would just ask me, Verbruggen to Kepa -4, the decision is absolutely no, I don't like that. I get the appeal of Kepa, and there is a little bit to this in the sense if you think no matter when you end up doing this transfer, it will cost you a -4 anyway, i.e. because you've got so many other things planned, then fine, do it. But generally speaking, the -4 for the goalkeeper is not necessary. MKS says, hi James, did some long-term planning and found that if I did Mikalenko to Housen this game week, it would mean a -4 in game week 29 to get Haaland for Palmer. Should I do it or play one of Hall, Mikalenko, Castagne till 29? You'll be okay with that because like Castagne covers for Hall great this week. The only other one you really want cover for Hall for, Castagne is okay away to Wolves. Mikalenko at Brentford, it's not terrible. I think Hall's okay for your other 2 weeks, 26, 28. So factor that in. So I think that's okay. I understand what you're saying. My personal view at the moment isn't probably going to take Haaland on in 29. It just cocks things up too much to try and work around that. So you're going to get a bias from me. Probably not to. I also think Cole Palmer's fixtures from game week 30 through to 34, if you're short of chips, is incredible. And actually just 30 to 32, Tottenham, Brentford, Ipswich. I don't really want to be taking Palmer out for that, personally. That's my view. Oh, shit. Lost me headphones. Next up is Gavin Richardson says, hey, James, I know how you like to be retrospectively asked an opinion, but I won't do that. I went Hall to Kirkes for a -4 and don't want any judgment. P.S. Good luck in your El Calamity derby versus Manchester United. Yeah, El Calamity is about right there. I can't see what I'm doing. I'm getting too old. Tom Hall says, Gakpo to Mateta already have Sarr. 3 Liverpool, 2 Newcastle. No, I think for me personally, if I'd have been selling Gakpo here, I'd have had to be going for the upside of Watkins to know, okay, I should be getting at least one more of Watkins. Is Gakpo away to Villa definitively worse than Mateta against Everton? Bearing in mind, Gakpo can have Southampton in 28, and I realise Mateta has Ipswich in 28. Who's your first sub, Tom? Ultimately, that will decide this, right? Who's your first sub? If you've good first sub, I'd leave it. If it's terrible, I'd be tempted. LFC BSFC says, own Flecken and Verbruggen and have up to 5.1 million to spend. Roll transfer or replace who? For either Kepa or Emi Martinez. Generally, I mean, again, it's chip dependent, but I'd be buying Kepa of the 2 right now. That's where I'd be at. Flecken away to Bournemouth 29, Verbruggen away to City. Neither looks great. I think of the 2, it'd probably be cutting Verbruggen first. But Flecken's next 3 is pretty decent. I wouldn't be rushing that. Martinez is more liable to probably give you another headache maybe down the line. And it does feel, I know what you're saying, you got the money in the bank, but you can use that for other things. Maybe that money is going towards you getting Haaland for 29. Z says, hi James, looks like I ask this every week now. I have free hit and assistant manager left. Would it be best to play assistant manager 31 or 33, free hit 34, wildcard 30 or 35 now? I don't like wildcard 30. You've been very clear on that all week, mate. I don't think... Listen, we could be really lucky in the sense there is a chance, but we can't guarantee it, that even if we didn't have the fixtures, there's certain things we could go, yeah, do you know what? This is definitely coming forward. So Newcastle Ipswich now, you've got to think, if that's postponed in 34, it's coming forward. I also strongly, obviously Bournemouth, Manchester United, if United are still in Europe, that's got to come forward. And I also strongly think that specifically Arsenal against Crystal Palace, if Crystal Palace make the semi-finals, all shows should come forward. That's as a consequence of a possibility of Palace or Newcastle, because Newcastle play Arsenal in 37, one of them having to play 3 days for an FA Cup final, quite complicated. But if those were the games that were postponed, so say your FA Cup semi-finalists were Palace, Bournemouth, Man United, Newcastle, I'd be extremely confident that all those 34 games were moving to 33 under that circumstance. And you wouldn't necessarily need the announcement. But I'm really scared, and I've said this for a while, and I made it very clear on Monday's pod. I'm very scared of people wildcarding in Game Week 30, having 17 days to make their decision, and then on the Tuesday, at the end of the 17 days, either getting the fixtures and knowing what it looks like for 33 and panicking because something's wrong, or just not getting the information at all. Because we may get games postponed where it's not that easy to ascertain which week they're going to go into. That's also possible. So Game Week 30 wildcard, I just can't be having it. I can't be having it. You end up wildcarding blind. You'd be sitting there going, yeah, well, surely Newcastle Ipswich goes into 33 now. But we would think that, but we aren't making the decisions. I'd be very scared about that, mate, personally. Maybe they want to keep Game Week 33 free for some reason. Like, God knows. That doesn't appear the circumstance, but I don't like wildcard 30, so wildcard 35. I'll add one on, and again, I've had no time to look at this today. But for someone like me without the chips now, I really might be wildcarding Game Week 34. Because what I might have to use to get to looking good through 33, I really might have to wildcard straight out of that. There's a chance I'm going to land like 4 players or so in Game Week 34. I might have to wildcard then. And that's something I need to have a sit down and proper look at. Next up is Murphy says, evening James, hope you're well. Who would you sell out of Mikolenko and Castagne for Howson? Also have Pickfords who don't love double Everton. This is quite an intriguing one, this, because I think Castagne could end up still being pretty good for you. Fulham have some decent fixtures where he's serviceable, like Southampton away in Game Week 32, for example, might be pretty good for you. And the fixtures up to 29, a little bit like Everton, kind of similar. They're both okay. Mikolenko's fixtures after 29 are terrible, really bad. But then Fulham 30 to 32 is not great either. Sorry, I said Southampton 32. Southampton 34, sorry, in the blank week. If you think you're going to free hit 34, it's sell Castagne out the 2. God, that's thinking so far ahead, isn't it? Mikolenko's safe for you. Castagne beyond the blank, I don't think he is once Kenny Tatty's back. So generally speaking, it's probably sell Castagne off the 2, a little bit reluctantly. Next up is LP says, hi James, with the Game Week 32 news today, would you be looking to hold Palace and Newcastle players until then? I currently have Isak, Henderson, Mateta and Saul. Definitely Henderson, because you can cover that through 29 and have another goalkeeper. Saul, I wouldn't be wedded to holding on to. It's too long and he's not been doing great. Isak, I'm wedded to. Got a lot of value in that I want to keep. And I absolutely would want Alexander Isak in Game Week 30. Great fixture Game Week 30. Home to Brentford, Leicester away 31. I don't need to be fighting to put him back in coming out of a blank game week. So Isak I definitely want to keep hold of. I've got really good value in Hall. So quite often I think the answer here will lie in the amount of value you've got in a player. Whereas Anthony Gordon, I don't. Anthony Gordon feels a little bit more expendable. Plus, there's every chance now that I'm going to end up using the Arseman chip on Howe, right? So I've got 3 Newcastle. I need to free 1 up anyway. So it might even be for me that I'd end up cutting Gordon and Hall and going back to one of them, maybe along the path. Because if I went Hall and I thought Howe was going to be the answer, if I kept him, I cut myself off Gordon if I decide I want to go there. So it might even play better in a weird way to cut along this path that's difficult fixtures for Newcastle. Ideally, looking at the immediate in front of you, Palace's next few fixtures are better than Newcastle's, right? But that doesn't mean you should keep Sarr over Isak, right? No. So weigh each one on their own merits. But yes, there's more of a case. I already said, part of me buying Mateta, I know I've just taken away another player from game week 29. Whereas if I'd have bought Cunha, Wood, Jimenez, I didn't need to go looking for another player in 29. I've decided I'm probably going short in 29. That's the conclusion that I've come to. Or I'll take a few hits. There's every chance I'd end up with just one up front. I could well end up carrying Salah, Mateta, Isak through 29 as my priorities. Just go Gakpo to Cunha or Wood in 29 and end up in like a 5-4-1 for 29 and it'll be what it'll be. That's a possibility. Motta says, who wins the Premier League? At the moment, I've kind of backed Arsenal all season, but Liverpool you've have to fancy, despite the result Wednesday night, partly as well because of the Arsenal injuries at the moment as well. I think the next two away games are pretty clear, important for Liverpool. I think as long as they don't slip up badly in these two, to be honest, probably even winning one, losing one wouldn't be like catastrophic. If they pick up 6 points from them two away games, I think we're probably nearly done. Martin Aliaga says, hi James, is double game week 37 unlikely now? What could be a strategy with all the chips left other than triple captain? So no. So what's really important here is maybe they want to keep game week 37 free because they want to bring the fixtures postponed for an FA Cup final forward to 36. So you'd have 4 teams doubling 36 who then blank in game week 37. That to me that don't make sense because the teams are going to have to play Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday FA Cup final, and I don't think that's particularly fair. I think those teams would rather play on the Tuesday, Thursday after the final. But that might be what they're shaping up to do. Maybe that's why they keep game week 36 clear. As possible. So could we still have doubles in game week 36? Yes, but it's beginning to look more likely that they'll come from 37 rather than 34. James Brennan says, hi James, best Richarlison replacement. Don't ask why I have him. Running through 29. Cheers. I've just gone Mateta, so that, if you've got the money in the bank, that's the choice I've chosen is Mateta. The only reason it wouldn't just automatically be Mateta for me is because they don't play in 29. I don't know if that puts you in a really bad situation, James. If you intend to free hit in 29, Mateta, if you can afford it. If you can't, then I think running through Cunha would be the alternative, but it doesn't feel right this week. Connor McDonald says, Sarr to Utara. Already have Cliver. Wildcard plan 31-32, so favour the OOP Dango over Semenyo. I think, Connor, it sounds like you've answered your own question there, mate. I wish you luck. George von Schreiber says, hi, James. Ignore if on benching dilemmas. Who to bench out of Visser, Bumo, Wood. From that lot, I won't ignore because Visser's not on there, in fairness. Jeez and rice and God. Crap, man. Visser. Blimey. PT92, Hall won't need to consider bench boost. PT92 says, Hall and Elanga to disassign Cliver or Bruno Fernandes and Gakpo to Watkins and Cliver. Probably prefer the Watkins and Cliver. Again, what's your 29 impact on that? Just a note on Disasai. Just remember, he probably does play both games in the double. Just remember he's ineligible in game week 26. I don't know if that's a bearing for you or not. Mitten Davda says, hello from Toronto. James, are Bournemouth defenders being overlooked? I don't think they are, mate. I don't think they are. I can never find the time to get to Howson, and I really want to, and I just don't think I'm ever going to be able to do it. So no, I'd love to put Dean Howson in. I 100% if I was wildcarding now have a Bournemouth defender in. Definitely. So don't think they are being overlooked. So just think it's quite right around a period of doubles, people are prioritising more offensive moves. I don't think they are. I think Howson and Kirkes, for different reasons, are both really, really good pickups. I don't think people are, mate. If you think they are, crack on, Mitten. Bertica says, hey, James, need to sell either Gordon or Sarr to fund an Arseman upgrade from Moyes to Emery. Who to sell? Cheers, mate. Probably Gordon. Are you happy to keep faith with Sarr for the next 4 and then move him on to someone else in 29, which might then be another Bournemouth player? How helpful is the money to you? I actually think Gordon could do well this weekend, but that does feel the right. Is it the right play? You're saying it's either for money. Selling Sarr don't feel right this week, though, mate. I'm a fixture man. You must be asking the wrong person. I think I'd sell Gordon. And my intention, by the way, until Jackson's injury was confirmed, was I would have gone Gordon to Kluivert this week. Sam Watson says, "Hi James, happy Friday." He's got his whole team written. Help me out. By the time Sam, I wish you the very best of luck, mate. By the time I've read out the names, I've forgotten half of them. But looking at what you've got, yeah, fast onto I don't know what money you've got in the bank. Fast to something that's more useful, maybe, mate. Christoph Orosk, says, "Hey James, you'll probably cover this in the first minute, but is benching Gakpo madness?" It's not madness, but I wouldn't do it. What's the worst case scenario? The worst case scenario, I guess, is a substitute at Villa and comes on for half hour, right? And it's a 1-pointer. I guess that's the worst case scenario. He's still coming on as a substitute for the best team in the league, right? And every chance he might get, you saying that's your worst case scenario. Because that's worse than the 0-pointer, because then your bench becomes involved and therefore it didn't matter, right? So I wouldn't say madness, but what if he trains tomorrow and plays Sunday, mate? I realise that seems unlikely at this moment, but what if it does? Samson Barretto says, "My defence is in a mess. Would you start Hall and do Wood to Watkins, or keep Wood and get Howson in, or do both for a -4, keep Wood, and I would get Howson in, mate?" Martin says, "Hey buddy, Gakpo to Watkins for free, no free hit 29. Probably yes, but I just recognise it's probably going to land you in a hit later on. Wesley Mims says, "Enzo to Wanyeri for free, or wait for the slot money back to upgrade him and Rodgers to Bournemouth mids?" That's a really interesting question. One thing on Nwaneri is, again, he's almost certainly going to start in 29 because Sterling's ineligible for that one. So surely he plays. I don't think we'll see Saka before then. If we do, I think it'll be very limited minutes. How long do you need to carry? Because if you need to carry afterwards, then Saka's back, then what? That's the problem with Nwaneri, as discussed on yesterday's COTC. Otherwise, he's perfectly reasonable and serviceable to pick up. I think the right play is to wait, MKS says, "Play one from Mikalenko, Castagne, Hall." I would go Castagne from that. Florian Meister says, "Hi James, would you sell Sarr for Kluivert and play him if it meant benching one of Wood, Palmer, Gakpo?" I'd play all of them over Kluivert. I plan to run through 29, already have Semenyo, thanks a ton. So I probably wouldn't. Dan Butler says, "Gordon to any Bournemouth mid with Ahmad on the bench. All the best this weekend." Yeah, fine with that. Gavin Richardson says, "Saw Adam Cleary 442 do a Spurs piece on YouTube. How are Spurs underlying numbers top 6, but the league position so poor and with that goal difference?" He says, "Angie in question." Now's not the time, Gavin. I've done enough defending of Ange, haven't I? Brandon Marcus says, "Hi James, now that we know Newcastle double in 32, would you sell Gordon for a Bournemouth mid or just hold?" Again, what about assistant manager and stuff if you're on free? And you're saying plan is to wildcard 31. So, I mean, what difference does that make? What if you're wildcarding 31, what difference does it make to hold him? It's even more reason to sell him, isn't it? Surely. I591 says, "Worth doing Mikalenko to Bournemouth defender. I have one free transfer left. Only if it's not going to kill you on the path of making transfers for 29 and beyond." But yeah, Mikalenko, remember, is still useful for you in 29. Jake says, "Hi James, should I do Eze to Semenyo Otara? Good chance I bring in a Bournemouth midfielder before 29 anyway, but do I just do it for Rodgers either 26, 27 and keep Eze for the next few decent fixtures move now?" I would hold, mate. Any doubts like this at the moment, I think it's hold. Janiko says, "For people with all chips left, it's best to activate triple captain 25. Question. Thanks." My opinion on that is yes, but Isak 32, Man United at home and Palace at home has now put his hand up quite significantly, hasn't it? It's not bad, that, but then that's blocking you off the arse, man, isn't it? Blocks for 33 to 35 is probably unlikely, and I mentioned possible, but it's probably unlikely. I think it's the easiest one to get rid of, personally. And it's Mo, and the first fixture's great. Charlie says, good luck, James. You too, Charlie. Gurav Ranjan says, hi, James. Is selling Gakpo to Eagling is on cards. Which third pool we should go? Gordon to Diaz, Jota, or Castagne to Trent? Thanks. I must say, had I sold Gakpo today, I don't think I'd have bothered. Jota, Nunez, back fit. Don't think I'd have bothered. Because whatever I'd want would, for me on my path, become a problem down the line. I don't think I'd bother, mate. I suppose for this week, if I was free hitting this week, what free Liverpool would I go for? Salah, obviously. I'd probably go Diaz and Van Dijk, I guess. Diaz and Trent at this moment, I guess. Probably. John Hartwell says, would you do Gakpo to Watkins for -4, but then you'd be 0.2 short of Emery to Pep for next week? Currently have assistant manager active and on Emery. Don't cut yourself off of the most powerful chip options. So if your plan is, if City lose to Newcastle and they drop to 6th and you cut yourself off that, it's way more power in the assistant manager, mate. So it's a no. Elliot says, best goalkeeper from now to wildcard, 5 million or under. When you wildcarding, Elliot? Next week. Kepa, mate. Ali Blake says, hi, James. Gordon, Gakpo, and Emery, or Isak, Utara, and Slot. Thanks. Please tell me you're not considering selling Isak. I don't know how this question's laced, because I'm not going to say that. Therefore, I'm just going to say the Isak option. Boy says, morning, mate. What would you do with 5 free transfers in your team? Fix some fucking shit. Currently tripling up on Bournemouth. Good luck. I think if I had more free transfers, I would have gone Gordon to Kluivert, Gakpo to Watkins. I'd possibly throw, and I'd say possibly, I would throw in one of Kepa or Howson as well, but I don't have them. Abel Hamid says, good day, James. Looking to bring in Dango and Trossard for Gordon and Enzo. Also thinking João Pedro to Mateta instead of Enzo to Trossard, or even possibly Nwaneri instead of Trossard. Need help. Thoughts? Round in circles, mate. You know what Mateta is. I prefer that. Simon B says, good afternoon, James. Bench Bruno, Wood, or Gakpo? Fucking Christ on a stick. Logically, at the moment, Bruno is playing central midfield. Doesn't mean he will tomorrow. I wouldn't be that shocked if he played false 9 on Sunday. Sorry. That's really unlikely, but I'm just trying to think about how Tottenham play, and I think Fernandes might struggle in that area, actually. If he ends up as one of midfield too. So he might push him higher again. But logically, at the moment, it probably is Fernandes, isn't it? From that. Shit. Sell him. Next up is Adam. Evening, James. Would you start both Robinson and Milenkovic, or bench one for Mikolenko? All the best, thanks. Wow. Look, if you don't have Wood, it doesn't really matter, does it? Or Jimenez. Like, they're playing against each other, but you could finish 0-0, right? And you could get quids in from both. Yeah, I'll probably Milenkovic or I'd definitely play Robinson out of that. Milenkovic or Mikolenko. Milenkovic is the right answer, isn't it? Yeah. Mark Minshall says, play one James Gakpo or Vissa Gakpo, or do I transfer Gakpo out for Wood or for another striker? Can't afford Watkins. Thanks. Hit the like and subscribe. I'm gonna say hold, mate. As long as you've got a good first sub, and I would classify something like Amad Diallo as a good first sub. That's fine for this week. FPL Frost says, smash a like and subscribe, folks. Thank you, buddy. Thanks for all your work in the chat, mate. Robbie Granger says, hi, James. Do I start Ahmad or Cunha? Oh, this is the debate I nearly had, because if I'd have bought Cunha, I'd have had this decision. I think I'd have played Cunha. I think so, yeah. It just depends on that. Liverpool could beat Wolves 4-1. He's the most likely scorer. Jody Pegler, hi, James. Would you start Visser or Wood? Wood. Gavin Richardson, I heard a rumour that if you don't smash a like, that Nico will come out of his corner and either get happy with your partner or talk to your parents. Smash that like, yo. Fuck's sake, please. Latest intermediate plus tier patrons, Nico's corner is available for you this coming Monday. Justin Gooch says, hi James, with Gakpo a doubt, is it worth starting Gordon over him? I've covered this, no. Stefan P, hi James, who would you sell for Watkins, Gakpo or Pedro? My 8th attacker is Ahmad in case Gakpo misses both games, then João Pedro, mate. Harvey Spector says, hi James, play Ahmad versus Spurs, Gordon versus City, or transfer Gordon to Bumo and play them instead. I've had Semenyo for about 15 weeks. I'll be sticking with him as Bournemouth mid. Like and subscribe. I'd stick it out with Gordon for the minute, mate. That would be my play. Adash says, hello, mate. Would you do Gordon to Cliver? We already got Dango and Gakpo to Watkins for -4. João Pedro first bench, but no money to replace him next week. But Cunha, if I get Watkins, then don't. There's the answer. To be honest, you'll end up going Watkins to Cunha and you'll be stuck with João Pedro. Jerry Damiu says, hello, Jimbo. When a new manager comes to a team midway through, is pragmatism for results a priority over tactical implementation? Moyes versus Amorim. No, because there's plenty of examples of people coming in and really like embedding their principles quite quickly and it working, and that being like offensive football as well. So, and actually Everton have been way more offensive under Moyes than they were under Dyche, right? That's clear. Actually, he's added a layer for them offensively. He's almost taken away a little bit of the pragmatism. Drew 2-2 the other night. It beat Tottenham 3-2 a couple of weeks ago. You might have a little bit of a stigma there, mate. But no, it can definitely go the other way. So, no, I don't think it's a proven point. I think we can use isolated instance to say yes, one way or the other, but it's not always the case. Dan Wheeler says, hi, James, use my transfer on Emery, but I have the Sanchez-Fabianski problem. I have 0.1 in the bank. Is it worth a -4 to get a playing keeper this week? In your circumstance, yes, this is different. You don't have a goalkeeper. So you're either going to deal with it now or then what, for free next week? If it's a -4 again next week, well, you've got to get on with it, haven't you? Kepa's the choice, mate. JP says, Watkins in for Gakpo or Wood? I mean, again, how useful is Wood for you, 29? What if Forest double 33? Are these things that are relevant for you or not? Maybe a wildcard in 32. Maybe it's not. I don't know. It's worth saying one thing about 32 with Newcastle Palace doubling. Obviously, if neither of them doubled in 33 and people want a wild card in 32 to bench boost 33, what are you going to do? Newcastle just got a single away to Villa. You bench boosting like Hall and stuff like that. Palace just got a single of Bournemouth at home, bench boosting Henderson's and stuff. So information's pretty important, guys. Another hoot. Smash that like, people. Best of luck this weekend, you too. To be honest, JP, I'm just not sure. I'm not sure. Purely because not Ron Watkins this week. Let me be absolutely clear about it. I'm sure he'll do well, and tomorrow particularly could obviously do great. I just know if I invest in him, I'm selling him quite soon afterwards. So it's -4 to sell now. Is he give me another -4 because I've got more problems going into Gameweek 29? Like, I don't know. I can't see your team, right? But I suspect that might well be the case. For our patrons watching live, sorry, I was just reading a report about associated party transactions. Man City have won their case about that. That is not the 115 case. Yes, we need a regulator. So I'm just reading comments from our patrons. For our patrons watching live, we've obviously got any team news going around on Brighton and Chelsea tonight. Please drop me a tag on Slack and we'll get that shared with the guys in the chat. We are circa 13 minutes from deadline. Next up is FPL Daily. Start Wood or Gakpo. On paper, mate, Gakpo's got a double, so that one, mate. Joe Pickles says Gordon to Cliver or Isak to Watkins. Not Isak to Watkins, mate. Confuseld. Hey, James, I have Gordon and plan to sell before 29. Do Dango for free this week or hold Gordon for this week? Already have Cliver. I don't mind you moving it. That's what I was going to do. I said to the wife, do you want me to help you with your team? And she was like, no, no, don't worry about it. Da, 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 da. It's fine. Okay. Right. I'm gonna preach my own advice here. She's on arse, man. She needs to sell Consa. Dean Howson, Bournemouth, Dean Howson. It's spelled like Huisen. Jerry W, with Arsenal not signing any forward reinforcements back in the winter window and 4 of them are out injured, is it safe to say the title race is over for Arsenal considering you back them early on? I didn't put no money on them, mate. I know it's not over yet, mate, because you still, again, seeing the vulnerabilities in Liverpool Wednesday night. These next 2 away games are massive. Yes, of course, now I do think Liverpool will win the league. It would be silly if I didn't at this stage, but don't count them out. And as much don't count them out because of the Liverpool vulnerabilities. Like, I don't think Arsenal win every game from here left, right? So Liverpool will have to cock things up, basically. King of Mandalore says, have you ever allowed yourself to make a transfer in a deadline stream if you were waiting on information or really unsure and needed more time? Yeah, I've done it before, mate. Yeah, I've done it before. I remember putting Rafinha in for a Friday night game when Leeds were at Newcastle and he scored. It was a cross that went straight in. So I have done. Yeah, to be honest with you, today's been so... She's messaged me and said, queef. I've been so busy today, mate. I didn't want to go into the stream and then have a head fog. I needed when I had my own time. She said hoist and duck. Yeah, a little bit like hoist and duck. Yeah, just without the duck. Yeah. I needed to think. I asked my patrons for 20 minutes. Please leave me alone for 20 minutes so I can make my decision and think in my own space. There was nothing on buying Mateta that was going to happen in this hour that was going to stop me doing it. And it was the same with other players, considering. If it had been a Saturday morning deadline, I maybe would have waited a little bit longer, in fairness, mate. And I might have done it in the morning because there might have been something that had been relevant. With Brighton Chelsea tonight, so unlikely it was going to be anything that would impact it, mate. Uros Milicevic says, hello James, start Gakpo Wood. Feel like I've just done that. Fantasy Fluker, hi James, when is the best next time to play assistant manager? As I'm wildcard 31, bench boost 32, free hit 34. Now? I mean, you got yourself blocked off for a number of weeks there, so you literally got 2 options, mate. It's now or it's 35 to 38 over that period, isn't it? If that's what you booked into, I mean, bench boost 32. Is that right? It might be. Might be. Oh, Howson. Rubbish. He's only playing once. Sack yourself. Yeah. Yeah, okay, cool. Love you. He'll be handy for you. Bet he gets sent off. John says, hey James, hope your week is going well. I normally wouldn't ask, but my decision making has been shocking in the last few weeks. Which player would you bench from Mateta, Isak, Visser, Gordon, Palmer? From that lot... Probably Gordon on the fixture. Shani Razzle says, Big James, hope all is well, sir. Usual request, please can you rub the noggin to bring us luck from the FPL gods? Hopefully brings us extra luck from Cupid. Bless us on and off FPL. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. Yeah, don't forget to treat your loved ones well this evening. I shall be treating mine to Brighton against Chelsea. Oh, shit. I've been punished now. I've lost my place in the chat. Adam was next. Says, James, talk me out of putting both Nwaneri and Trossard in my team. Got a very good reason to talk you out of it. You want at least one defensively, and it might drop that you want to have the assistant manager chip on Mikel Arteta in Gameweek 33. That needs Palace to hit an FA Cup semi-final probably, but that would be enough for me. Jerry Darmy says, based on how the assistant manager chip has worked so far, would you like to see it again for next season with some tweaks, or scrap it, and why? Bin it. I mean, I haven't played it yet, but I just think it's caused too much lack of understanding. I think for most people in here, you probably are fine with it. But I think for the general games, nah. FPL is loved for its simplicity. And I said this when they announced it, that I didn't understand the bringing in a chip that you really had to explain people. I see people like even going, so hang on, they're 7th and they're playing them them second, is that enough? Or 7th v 3rd, is that enough? We've got some people struggling to count to 5, and we got this in. Like, it's tough work, isn't it? It really is. So, no, not for me. Not for me. No. It's actually, it's fairly complicated. I can't even remember after scoring for it. I wouldn't bother personally. No. If it was up to me, I'd be like, no. Bin it. It's fine. They added it as an idea. I don't have a problem with it at all. And if they did decide to keep it, I don't have a problem with it. But you're asking me my preference. I'd sack it off personally. Ahmed Ashwani says, hi James, bench 1, Wood, Bumo and Utara. Utara, mate. Benji Burrow says, Jackson, João Pedro and Moyes to Watkins, Beto for money. We're chasing Beto now. Emery for -4. Beto is going to give you such a headache, Benji, that I would not do that. I think you would find a better use of your money instead of Watkins, Beto, of going something like Mateta and Cunha. And just, okay, they're going to be my guys. This person, sorry, the name's in foreign letters, but I always see you in the chat and it's nice to see you, mate. Would you go Gakpo to Mateta but not having clear idea of 3 hit 29 and 7 players out of 29, so 4 transfers needed? Jesus Christ. Alright, listen, the people in my stream are laughing at you. Walker Peters or Akanji? What's... Walker Peters plays for Southampton and Akanji's fucking injured for 10 weeks. What's going on? Just go house him, babe. Zubi says, what's the optimal chip strategy if your triple captain is used and assistant manager is active right now? Again, we need to look at it, so we need to absorb the information. Definitely it's chips after game week 30, in my opinion. So it could be something like wildcard 32, bench boost 33, right? Could be that. Could be that. 3 hit 34. Off the top of my head, but you're saying not 3 hit 29. Okay, probably something like that. Listen, Bournemouth are alright, okay? Luke Stevenson's, how come you put Wood and Bumo over Clivert on bench in dilemmas? Because I think they scored more points than him this week. And also, as you can see, wife problems, mate, right? And Clivert's got some, clearly, at the moment. Finley, I hope the baby birth has gone well. Finley Scanlon says, Gordon and Gakpo to Clivert and Watkins, then play assistant manager on slot or wait for Howe. I mean, wait at the moment, mate. Jacob Frost, do I still arse man this week and bench boost 33? What you... What are you doing? She's already... Oh, she's trying to buy Watkins and needs to make up a shortfall. Oh, you ain't gonna do that. You ain't got nothing. This is why I said to her, do you want me to help you? No. And now, listen, you're ruining people's experience here, man. What?
I'll just do what I want then.
But what are you thinking of doing? You want Watkins?
Yeah.
That's what you've decided, yes? You want to get him for João Pedro? Is that what you're doing?
No, Wood.
For Wood?
Yeah.
Don't you like Wood? She said no. Yeah, but it'd be handy for you in a few weeks, babe. Trust me.
Oh, do you know what? I've got present problems, not future problems.
Your team's all right. It's fine. Play Howson instead of Hall and you're fine. Sorry, everyone. Who's next? God knows. Jacob Frost. Do I still ask man this week and bench boost 33? Or do I bench boost now? I've already answered that one earlier. I'm certain I did. CJ Stuck 07 says, evening James, plan to get through game week 29 without chips. Which non-Bournemouth mids would you recommend? Which non-Bournemouth mids? So sort of at a period of 29. Probably wouldn't recommend Gibbs. Well, Elanga's a cheap one. That's a name we don't mention much because the Bournemouth guys recently. Anthony Elanga, very reasonable. Emil Smith-Rowe, Fulham. Diallo, Manchester United. These are all cheaper options, aren't they? No, don't mention Jared Bowen if you want that differential, a bit more expensive. Kudos. Keep an eye on Guedes. I wouldn't buy him, but keep an eye on Guedes at Wolves, maybe. There's a few for you, mate. Barry Coleman, don't disagree, but weird seeing Rodgers as third captain choice. Absolutely is, but I just think, as I said, if you wanted to take on Salah this week, I at this moment would not be doing it with another Liverpool player. I would do it with Watkins or Rodgers. So hence that's why they're second and third on the list. We can't be sure enough on Trent's minutes and Gakpo, right? And or Luis Diaz, any of them, basically. Reece C says, hey James, would you start Gakpo over Boomo given the flag? Should I put Gakpo on the bench in dilemmas? Yeah, I would just start him, mate. What are you going to do if he plays twice, man? I don't mind the -4. If you really want to chase Watkins like my wife, then absolutely fine. She clearly doesn't like wood. Val Bav says, bench one from Ahmad and Beto. Another small one. Should I sell Ahmad for Dango for a -4? No, I wouldn't take the -4. And actually, I probably would play Beto over Diallo. Yeah, I probably should have put Beto on the bench in dilemmas. I just assumed he was going to be a sub for everyone this week. Shani Razzle says, 2 reminders, people. 1, remember to like the stream and show some love. 2, no one cares, mate. Or not no one cares about my stream. No one cares about what you said, right? You can say that, but you can say North London is red. You can say that, but, you know, what is it? North London forever. Funny that. I thought you were out of Woolwich Tube Station. Nigel Sam says, hi James, should I do Gakpo to Vissa or Cunha and Moyes to slot, or just keep Gakpo and go Emery? Keep Gakpo, go Emery. Lewis Horner says, hi James, thoughts on Bowen? Not seen many people talking about him, and he's got decent fixtures, but only being 2.9% owned. Rotates well in my team, so I'm thinking of taking a punt. I think you've answered your own question, Lewis. I have no problem with investment in Jared Bowen, mate. There's a reason I didn't even bother putting him in a bench in dilemmas, because he'd have been above nearly everybody, honestly, to start. All them people on the bench in dilemmas probably put Bowen above all of them. So there you go. Eddie says, hi James, have 2 free transfers, need 0.2 million to do Moyes to Emery. Do I? 1, go Timber to Howson, frees up funds for my any manager in Gameweek 26. 2, Ahmad to Dango, gives me Bournemouth mid cover. Ahmad to Nwanyere. Again, consider the blocking of another, bloody hell, it's deadline, another Bournemouth player or an Arsenal player, or Arteta, etc. But yeah. Cool. Shit, I didn't even realise it's 6:30 already. Deadline's hit, guys. That's it. Sorry. Sorry, my brain's been fried today. I didn't manage to go as fast as I normally would do. Sorry. If anyone's got any non-FPL questions, I'm happy to cover them off until Brighton and Chelsea team news comes out at 6:45. Then I'm going to go and enjoy my evening. I hope that many of you enjoyed the appearances of my wife. If you would like to help support my wife, please support the show at www.patreon.com/planetfpl, where for basic tier you can get access to early releases. All our podcasts and YouTube videos are released earlier on Patreon, normally by sort of half hour to an hour, and also ad free, both YouTube videos and audio content. From Basic Plus tier, you have access to our Slack community, and that also gives you access to my planning spreadsheet. All the podcasts are available from Intermediate Plus tier. And there's additional advanced tier video content available from advanced tier every weekday. There's also a Zoom call with me and other patrons every week that you're free to join and come to have a proper conversation with me, which is always really good fun. And we kind of talk through ideas in more detail together. If you want to support the show, it's www.patreon.com/planetfpl. If you do support the show, do it only if you can afford to do so, and because you want to support the show, and if you want the additional content. No one promises to make you a better FPL manager. Other content creators can provide that service. I will just answer questions as best as I can. Content next week. Obviously, it's a Friday deadline next week as well. Content is going to look a little bit different next week. It will be Game Review podcast Monday as per usual, be myself and Suj. People's Poll podcast, topics to be determined Tuesday. Ask James is going to be on Wednesday next week. It'll be in the afternoon. It's going to be Wednesday. That's because Clayton is not around next Wednesday, so we're going to shove the content back a little bit, and doing 2 streams in one day is it's not the best fun for me, to be honest. Thursday, Clayton and James, and Friday, Clash to Correspondence. So it just got a little bit more relevant. Fulham versus Crystal Palace with Lewis James and Rory McLaughlin-Dowd now next Friday. I swear to you, I don't plan this shit. That's been in the schedule for absolute weeks, but it's It's timed itself very well. I'm sure we will do Newcastle versus Crystal Palace before game week 32 as well. I haven't decided the Patreon content next week. Yes, I have. Q&A Monday, Tuesday UCL, Wednesday Tottenham, Friday game week 26 preview. Thursday will either be a quiz or money in football, but I feel like my head could do a rest, so I might do a quiz and we'll have some banter maybe instead next week. Right, if you came just for the FPL stuff, smash a like, hit the sub. Hope your hours are green. Have a great weekend. If you've got any non-FPL questions, throw them in the chat and I'm happy to get a few covered. FPL James says, tell her it's Valentine's Day. She doesn't get to get rid of wood. Oh, James, get your coat, mate. Jamie Hayes thinks the domestic's incoming. Jamie, that domestic has never left, my friend. Mark Ellison says Planet FPL wife content is the best content. No need to apologise, James. I mean, it wasn't a serious apology, but I know people take this real shit. There'll be people in the comments going, he wouldn't answer my question. He was talking to his wife. Yeah, that's probably what I would have said, Jack. Yeah, FPL News, my friend, hope you're well, says, so James can't get wood and the missus wants rid of it. I mean, yes, pretty much, yeah. Gareth Pashley, lovely stuff. Ryan says, good luck, everyone. FPL Frost, Barnett forever. Yeah, exactly. Neil Kager, Deadline, good luck all. Perfect. Sell. Were you named after James Bond or James Tarkovsky? No, I was named after Jimmy Greaves, mate. 213 likes, that it? 213 likes. Like, come on, guys, smash a like. I was like 800 of you in here at one stage. It's only 25%. Yeah, it's because I didn't ask for the likes. Why do you have to ask for likes for people to actually? Oh shit, I'm gonna press the thumb. No, just if you're enjoying it, press it in it. Not just this content, all content. If you're enjoying someone's content, press the like. It really helps. James Brennan says, hi James. Only one team other than the promoted team have no players who have hit the 100-point mark this season. Without looking, can you guess who it is? I presume it's Southampton, because isn't Dibbling only on about 50 points or something? So, I mean, I presume it's Southampton. Oh, sorry. Fucking hell. Sorry. See, I'm absolutely shattered. Only one team other than the promoted teams. Right. Could be West Ham then, actually. Thinking of it. Pickford might have hit it, maybe. It's going to be Everton or West Ham, isn't it, I think? Is it Spurs? Could be. It could be us, I suppose. Is it us? It's going to be one of them. Cloudy Sky Fantasy Football Show says, the Premier League are acting weird. The only thing that's really changed in the background is the FA Cup exclusivity weekends, but it seems to have had major knock-ons elsewhere in scheduling. They are, Ian, but is it possible that they've learnt from previous mistakes? Because there's enough people like me and you have shouted about it in the past and gone, they've got to, Norwich Chelsea was one. It was like, you've got to rearrange this. What are you doing? Going to be like in the Champions League semi-finals and still have like a treble game week to play. And then ended up organising like Norwich Chelsea at like 10 days notice ahead of, I think it was game week 28, if I remember correctly. So maybe they've learnt lessons, Ian. It's possible. That you'd have to say they've been proactive this year. It's good. It's good. It's good. I don't know. It's better. I know like the information coming on the Fridays are frustrating, but it's better than, this is better than what that was the other week where it's like it's such short notice. And to be fair, again, they did it because they were proactive, and it was the right thing to do, actually, in hindsight. Although Aston Villa, I see, don't think so. Gavin Richardson says, non-FPL mate gets upset when I use the term arseman. Should I change and say assistant manager or help him understand why arseman stresses him out so much? I'm thinking role. No one should be stressed out about an arseman unless they're truly uncomfortable with themselves, mate. But you know what, Gavin? If it helps his mental health, you change it, mate. Jack Chandler says, Spurs fan here. Thoughts on Poch coming back if Ange goes? My understanding is that Poch has a pretty watertight contract with the USA that runs through the 2026 World Cup. So I don't think this is a conversation till after that point. My personal opinion on Poch, like, I love him, right? Even though he went to Chelsea, I say this all the time, it's not my big rival. It doesn't really change how I felt about him. I didn't particularly want him to be successful there, I'll be honest. But because they are a rival. But he doesn't. I don't feel any different about him now that it's been and gone. And I think there's always been a feeling that he would come back. But the one thing I always absolutely felt was that for him to come back, everybody would have to be gone from that football club, from the playing position. Because I tell you what, and I mean this honestly, those players on that pitch right now have been struggling and they've been pretty shit. And a lot of the tactics have been bad. They have knocked down tools on Ange. That group of players absolutely, repeatedly decided to down tools on Maurizio Pochettino only 6 months after reaching the Champions League final. I watched them non-existently turn up at Brighton and get beat 3-0 with everybody playing. No injuries, no shit, mate. Get slaughtered 7-2 by Bayern Munich and then get absolutely, completely outplayed by Chris Wilder's Sheffield United at White Hart Lane. And there was others in there that were bad as well. 8 down tools on him, mate. So everybody's got to be gone. So that goes all the way down to some people are still there, Heung-min Son and Ben Davis. Until everybody is gone that was part of that team that got to the Champions League final or was still there when he left, I want them all gone till this would be a consideration. If in the future he wants to come back, I wouldn't have a huge problem with it, but I'm in no rush for it. Do I think it would work? Probably not, ultimately. But it would be a nice sentiment about it. And the football club's a bit broken at the moment. And you know what? Over the last 20 years, the only two people have ever kind of really been able to unify the fan base. Martin Jol was one for a little bit, but it didn't last very long. But I had people feeling good about Tottenham for the first time in a long time. And then obviously Poch. Ange hasn't achieved it. He probably won't now either. But I don't think... If you ask me now, if Ange went, would I want Pochettino back as my first choice? My answer would be no. I would prefer that Tottenham did something different. So if you're saying to me, right, Tottenham could go and get Andoni Iraola, I think there's plenty of similarities with Pochettino there. I would prefer Tottenham to go and get Iraola. Mike Chang says, if your Harry gets into playing football, could you see yourself coaching his team? Possibly. I remember when I played for a Sunday League team and always thinking, yeah, when I have one, this is what I'll be doing, like the parents used to then. Yeah, sure, maybe, possibly. My problem is time. That's my biggest problem in life is time, and the most important thing would be there to be there for him, right? Not necessarily for 15, 16 other kids. But yes, it was something I'd probably enjoy. It's not something I could do if I did this. No way. No. So, you want me here, or? I think it's probably more likely he won't be. You know, we did have a kickabout yesterday actually, which was quite nice. But I don't have the feeling at the moment that it'll be particularly interested. That might change. MH says, good luck everyone. Disappointed with last week's slot points compared to triple captain. Hopefully slot gets 2 wins. Clearly not an Arsenal fan, or maybe you are. Prashan says, how old do you think the pyramids in Egypt are? Shit. I don't know. Do they predate dinosaurs or not? You probably have some scratches on them, wouldn't you? The old T-Rex biting into it and that. I'm joking. Oh, crap. I don't know. My archaeology knowledge is not great, mate. 20,000 years. I don't know. Wesley Mims. Great stream, James. Enjoy these Friday deadline streams in American. It's good. Welcome to the stream, mate. James Lee says, how's the sciatica? On days like this where I barely move from this chair, it's pretty bad. Okay. I'm at the stage now, in honesty, James, where I'm probably going to need to hit the knife. Because it's manageable, but it's never going away. That's fairly clear now. So the pain is that's permanent is in my foot. It's not in my back. It's in my foot. But if I do anything like I've had a kick around with Harry yesterday, like it's not like too strenuous, but I'm going to feel it the next day. And then everything is a consequence of a tight back, etc. And the foot's bad. They need to move the bone back up so it's not, the bone pushes on the nerve and it sends the pain down the whole leg. And it sits permanently in my foot. Imagine, I could only explain it to you like this. imagine you've got pins and needles in your foot. Everyone will have had this, right? Have you ever had the feeling that you've got it so bad, you need to just kind of hold your leg in a straight off the floor and you're letting the blood obviously rush down, but you can't put your foot to the floor yet? It's not that bad, but the sensation you have, because you could put your foot to the floor, right? It's psychological, but the sensation is not too dissimilar to that a lot of the time. It's more on the outside of the foot and my little toe. It's just permanent, mate. So yeah, I pretty much need to do something about it eventually. Barry Coleman says, who are your top 3 Arsenal players of all time? Fucking hell, Barry. Can come and depress a fucking room, mate. Okay, look, I'll answer this in terms of who I think the best 3 players I've seen play for Arsenal are. Henry by miles. I mean, he's the best player I've seen in the Premier League. So, and I hate them, right? So that shows you how good I think Henry was. Henry, clearly. And I think it's probably Bergkamp and Vieira, I think. I think so. God, that team was so powerful and dominant. And it had all the ability. I say it was dominant. Well, it was physically dominant. Obviously, didn't win the league for 6 years in a row. It was so dominant, so difficult to play against. Bloody hell. Probably that. I don't know if Arsenal fans would disagree with the Vieira call. But probably, I guess you are influenced. Like those players played for Arsenal when I was a late teenager slash an adult, right? I think those memories are probably a little bit of an influence for you. I can't really go back to vague memories of the likes of David Rocastle, but I can't go back to the likes of Liam Brady and Charlie George and stuff like that, for example. I wouldn't be able to do that. I think, yeah, Henry Bergkamp, I think the 2. And then I think probably Vieira, yeah. Terrible question, Barry. Thank you. Perfect Cell. Cricket or rugby, James? Tests cricket, by the way, not woke 2020 nonsense. Yeah, let's watch sport and play for 5 days and still ends in a fucking draw. Fucking hell. No wonder it never took off in America. Blimey. I saw there was a rugby league game finished 0-0 last night. First time in about 20 years or so. No, I can't be watching 5 days of test cricket. I don't mind if it gets interesting, like in the Ashes, towards the end of a test. Like, I don't mind and stuff. I sat through all of the 50 ball final when we played New Zealand? Or was it just 20 ball? I can't remember. I sat through all of it. I quite enjoyed it, actually. Test, nah. Woodstock Chris, European clubs allow a breather around their team's European fixtures. I think it's better from the FA. It staggers me. I give you an example of this. Let's try and think of an example here. So you get teams will play on a Sunday and then they're playing the Champions League on a Wednesday. I can't think one off the top of my head now, but it happens plenty, right? So you get a team playing on a Sunday and they move to 4:30 on a Sunday or 2 o'clock on a Sunday. They're playing Champions League on a Wednesday. What are you doing? What are you doing? Like, I don't particularly like Friday night football, but let's do stuff to help teams. So you're absolutely right. You see it all the time in other nations. With us, it's all about TV and exposure. It's disgraceful, really, that any English club would play on a Sunday before they play in the Champions League. It's bad. And I hate the Sunday night kickoffs, right? But as in like the 7 o'clock Sunday. But say Tottenham are playing at Fulham in Gameweek 29. We don't know the kickoff time yet, but it'll be a Sunday. I hope it's 7 o'clock. Because it's just easier to manage from the Thursday night to 7 o'clock rather than it's going to be 12:30 or 1:30. I think it probably will be at 7 o'clock. But it's little things we could definitely be doing. I think particularly for the clubs in the Champions League, it's good for the league. I know most of us kind of don't want English teams to do well. But it's good for the league if they are. And the fact that the league don't do enough to help them blows my mind. It really, really does, actually. I think there's one coming. I'll give you an example. Here's one for you. So Arsenal are playing at Manchester United. There you go. I even used an Arsenal one. Arsenal at Manchester United, I'm pretty sure it's Super Sunday in Gameweek 28. I think I've got that right. I feel the need to check now. Yeah, that's correct. Manchester United against Arsenal, 4:30 on the Sunday. Now, in this case, United are playing obviously the Thursday before in Europe, so I get it. But if they weren't, there's a chance that will still move to the Sunday. That's not right. Arsenal got a Champions League game next midweek, right? Particularly with the Europa League teams, it's more difficult to kind of avoid. What do? Get them to play Monday night every week? Like, it's not easy, is it? With the Champions League, a Champions League team, in my opinion, should never play on a Sunday or before they play in the Champions League, unless there's absolutely no alternative. In this case of Manchester United and Arsenal game at 28, is actually a bad example I've given. There is no choice. All right, fine. But there's plenty of times it does happen. Should not. But, we've got all the big teams all playing on a Saturday. Tough shit. Put a game on at 8 o'clock on a Saturday night instead. Anyway, that's a rant for a different day. Sam Jones, you're very welcome, mate. Thank you. Casey Krajewski, if you were to travel back in time to Gameweek 1 of the 23-24 season, would you win FPL based on what you remember from that season? What, without looking at anything? Like, if you put all the fixtures in front of me, if I had the fixtures in front of me and I already knew what was going to happen, yeah. Because I'd probably remember nearly all the results, mate, and scorers without too much trouble. So, yeah, I think I probably would. I think most of us would if we could have the knowledge and the info, right? If we knew what was going to happen next, know what transfers to make. Even to the extent you could take wild hits. I know he got hat-trick that week. Fuck it. -4, -8. Swiss Wavy said, if Spurs could nick one defender, one midfielder, and one forward from any Premier League team, who would you pick? I'm assuming that you mean all from the same team. I don't want to name something that's completely unrealistic and just say, oh yeah, I'd take Salah, McAllister, and Van Dijk. This doesn't make sense, does it? Looking at teams, I'm gonna say maybe Palace. Something like Gay Mateta and one of Eze or Wharton. Or even if you want to include Eze as a forward, then Gay, Wharton, Eze. Something like that. I mean, it's not realistic we take all them players. Obviously not. I didn't want to name Liverpool. So yeah, maybe something like that. James Brennan. Oh, here we go. Kiss, marry, kill. Arteta, Wenger, and Henry. Great. I mean, can't be kissing Wenger, can you? It's not. Henry will marry Wenger. At least you'd have some good chats with him. Get rid of that prick now. Perfect Zell. Wonderful stream, James. Lovely weekend to you. And everyone, thank you. Fancy Fluker. When you think to playing your assistant manager, James, I have covered it, mate. Can I leave it at rest now? It's almost definitely going to be probably 31 to 33 for me, I guess, mate. I don't know. It's probably going to be that, mate. FPL News says, who did the wife transfer in after all that? Huyson, I think. But she wanted to put Watkins in as well and couldn't afford it. The Brighton team, by the way, I think... I just double check. I think it's exactly what I had on screen. I'll just put it up for you now. Yes, that's the Brighton team. That's the 11. Is that right? No, maybe not, James. Hold on. No, sorry. Minter is in the team. Sorry. João Pedro is not. Is he out of favour now then? I just thought that was a one-off. Did he get that pissed off with him from the Forest game? Yeah, João Pedro a sub. That's the change. Minter in for João Pedro. And Chelsea team. In your own time, James. Is Chalobah's playing, not Adebayo. And Neto is playing, not Sancho. So the two changes from that are Chalobah in for Adarabioyo. I'm moving an arrow around to show you. You can't see it. So I don't know why I'm doing it. Chalobah in for Adarabioyo and Neto in for Sancho. Right, let's wrap through these questions before she completely kills me. Patrick Wolf, is Salah going to break the 303 record? Unless he gets injured, mate. Yeah, he might break 400. Jerry Darmu says, Liverpool the main contender for Champions League, or is it still Madrid due to their heritage, or even either Barca or PSG? Any Premier League weaknesses that can be exploited considering their defence in Europe? So, Jerry, this is always a difficult question for me, and I always try and answer it as honestly as I can without bullshitting anyone. I don't watch enough European football, right? It's every chance you watch way more than Madrid, Barcelona, or PSG than me, right? So, what I can tell you is that Madrid have now gone into second favourites behind Liverpool, with Arsenal in third place, and it shouldn't be ruled out. Arsenal were strong defensively. I think it's very much why I'd give Inter Milan a good chance as well. I watched the first half of PSG the other night. I obviously watched a game with Man City as well. There is a little bit more of an exuberance and innocence about them that I quite like. Kind of less headline players. And Barca obviously have the capability at the top end, but also have vulnerabilities defensively. So I think it's quite open. Realistic, if you pinned me for a winner right now, probably I'm going to say Madrid because just know how to do it, don't they? And if they can iron out some defensive issues, they've also got, I mean, the attacking talent's unreal, isn't it? Martin Lancelot says, will we get the Arseman money back in IFPO account? Yes. James Z says, I'm guessing physio hasn't worked. No, I've not really had it, is the honest truth. I don't think it will. That's on me. So I'll deal with that. Patrick Wolf says, which for your money is the better goal? Bergkamp, Newcastle 0-2 or Bergkamp, Argentina? I think Bergkamp, Argentina because of the stage and the time of the game. So it's like 89th, 90th minute, World Cup quarter-final, Velodrome, France. Not that, St James's and Newcastle, all that's not great. And obviously it was very important in terms of Arsenal going on to win the league that year. But yeah, that does give it a little bit more, doesn't it? It has to. It has to. If you're asking me just aesthetically, I 100% Bergkamp believed the touch. He meant the touch, sorry, against Newcastle. I still think the Netherlands goal. Marv FPL says, I have a herniated disc and sciatica, daily stretching and pilots has basically fixed it, thank God. What I learned, Marv, I don't want to bore people too much now, but I had so much information from people, really helpful, when I first got the problem 14 months or so ago, and then was really, really bad this time last year. But everything was different. And what I learned was, because my dad had sciatica, what I learned is not, sciatica is, okay, back pain, shooting pain down your leg. Yeah, there's loads of different forms of that. Loads. If someone's listening to me and can explain what I have in my little toe on the side of my right foot, okay, please get in touch. That's the person I want to hear from. Spooky Sorcerer says, is Salah the best player in Europe on current form at the moment? Is he the forerunner for the Ballon d'Or? Do you think team trophies will decide it at the end if Liverpool don't win any? Again, don't watch enough of the other leagues, right? So like Rafinha's having a phenomenal season in Barcelona. I've seen him play once. But from what I know, I would have to say yes. And also to the follow-up question, also yes, unfortunately. Jay Barker, which Tottenham player do you back yourself in the octagon against? I mean, none, mate. None. Maybe Sonny. But Sonny has a really good stamina and stuff. I mean, none is the honest answer. If I've got to pick one, Werner. It's Werner, isn't it? MH says, your absolute thing to do on a Friday evening, watching Spurs play, movies, night out to restaurants, bowling, or something else. To be honest, quite often on a Friday, it's making sure everything's right for this on a Saturday, or it's doing this. Quite often, the wife will go out on a Friday night with her friends after work. So I might have Harry and stuff as well. So For me, Friday night is normally about us, to be honest, rather than anything special in terms of going out. We went out for dinner together last night. That was nice. Sweet Blue says PSG, Monaco, and Brest all played on the Friday last week in France to add on to that. Yeah, that's the point. And I get it. The examples I used were really bad because you couldn't have United Arsenal on the Friday in Gameweek 28. I get that. But yeah, in these other nations, maybe because they have less teams in it, right? Maybe it's easier. Teams go out earlier and stuff. I don't know. But yeah, we don't do anything to help us. I do think it's disgraceful if just hypothetical, random. In fact, let's see if we can find an example, right? We probably can't now. No, we probably can't because the fixtures haven't been announced long enough. But there's been ones that have been gone. I'll find one. In fact, here's a good example. Liverpool playing Wolves on Sunday, right? Now, they could have had a playoff game. Right, it should have been on the Saturday. Admitting in Liverpool's case, we knew they were going to go through. So let's find one from earlier in the season. Because there'll have been some. No doubt about it. Right. So 15th of December, Manchester Derby on the Sunday. Pretty sure it was Champions League the midweek afterwards. If it wasn't, it was the week before. Arsenal went to Fulham on the Sunday. No 8 o'clock kickoff on the Saturday. Right, so it could be 8 o'clock on the Saturday. They don't do enough to help. So it's not. I don't want to. It's not just a one club problem. It is particularly, I think, for the clubs in the Champions. It makes no sense. The Europa League and the Conference League, you get there's no way out the Thursday Sunday problem. But for the teams in the Champions League, teams in the Champions League should not be playing on a Sunday before they play on a Wednesday. And I get it. You're saying, what's the difference Saturday, Tuesday? Well, where possible, we should move in a game from a Saturday to a Friday if they're playing on the Tuesday. That's more difficult. Anyway, we've done that already. David Fawn, as a Brighton fan, Rutter has been too good not to start, and the experiment with João Pedro in the 9 didn't work. Yeah, a lot of us thought Welbeck coming back would really help him, right? This person with the name in the letters that I can't pronounce says, if the GOAT went to Man City when he left Barca, what do you think his price would be? What would he have been in FPL? 16. And you'd have paid it. Spooky Sauce says, what is the thinking behind Villa conceding only one to Liverpool with their injuries in defence? Well, Disasai and Mings will be the centre-back, so I think they'll put Kamara back in midfield. I think they'll do that from tomorrow, and I think that'll be more stable. I think Mings is really good for them in terms of the leadership perspective, so I think it will look better than what it's looked very recently. 2 new centre-backs. It's a new pairing, admittedly. I think just as important is moving Kamara back into midfield. Right, I'll leave it there, guys. Thanks very much. It's 7 o'clock. Enjoy your Friday night. I hope your game week is great, and I hope it's green. I'm not expecting a green arrow this week at all. I hope you find yours. If you haven't smashed a like, please do so. If you haven't subbed to the channel, please do so. Suj will be back with me for the Game Review podcast on Monday. Have a great weekend, everyone. Ciao for now.